A former WWE champion will never wrestle again. Plus, an absent AEW star was spotted backstage at Collision, and a WWE and AEW legend is making a rare indie appearance tonight. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. We every so often hear word, rumor, innuendo around Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson. He hasn't wrestled for many years after an incident involving in a match with Samoa Joe where he suffered a career-ending injury. But his name often comes up in conversation. I think this latest interview that Natalia has done with Chris Van Vliet may put paid to any conversation about it.
Yeah, so as you said there, Natalia was the guest of Chris Van Vliet this week, and Chris asked about a possible comeback of Natalia's husband, TJ Wilson, aka Tyson Kidd. Natalia said he can't do anything that would require him to take a bump. He's just so gifted, he's so good in training others, he just can't bump.
Natalia said that it's due to a C1 vertebrae injury. He broke his neck at the base of his brain, which makes the area very, very vulnerable. She says the actual medical term for the injury is the hangman fracture. So when people say, oh, TJ, we want to see you get back in the ring, and they see that he is very healthy and he is in very great shape, because he had a C1 injury with a C1 CT fusion, he just can't take a bump. He has to be very careful so he can't ever come back to wrestling. And that is devastating because, you know, there was, during a weird time in WWE, one of the bright sparks on the tag division was that team of Cesaro and Tyson Kidd.
They were so good, and their little feud that they had with the New Day as well was so good. And Tyson's one of those wrestlers who's great at doing like the high flying stuff and also great at being a technical marvel as well. When he went to NXT and did some of his stuff there, I think his character work really developed with him too, and he became like such a fun presence to watch, I feel like, on TV. And when someone's career is obviously cut short like this, it's such a tragedy when there was so much promise. There was so much promise there. However, he's now a fantastic producer. Like he's producing some fantastic matches for the roster in WWE at the moment, and I'm glad that his work can still continue through that sort of aspect at least. Anyway.
He can still give back to the industry in a way.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it. It's good to hear. Backstage at Collision on this past weekend on last Saturday night's show, somebody who hasn't been around for a while popped up. Who are we talking about, Andrew?
So Fightful Select come with us with this piece of news.
They come with us.
Where I was going with that. They come with us.
Sounds quite sweet. They come with us.
Hold my hand, Fightful Select.
Hold my hand, Sean Ross. Hold my hand.
Fightful Select tell us that Serena Deeb was backstage at the AEW Collision tapings on Saturday, October 13th. Those that we've spoken to say they haven't seen Serena backstage at all this year, and the area isn't anywhere near where she would just have been visiting. Deeb last competed 1 year ago against Hollywood Hailey J on AEW Dark in Cincinnati. Since then, she's not been used on AEW TV, factored in creatively, or even been backstage. However, she recently appeared and popped up at the Cauliflower Alley Club, which I believe is like a non-profit where boxers and wrestlers go for dinners and stuff.
Yeah, and there's like a famous Hall of Fame there as well, so she was a part of that. Now, Five will go on to say that there's two different factors that led to Serena Deeb disappearing from our screens. One was a disagreement with AEW management that took place last year that we've talked about a little bit on this channel as well. She's told several others as well that she was sidelined with a rough injury. So another reason why she hasn't been around, she's been injured. She said, according to people that spoke to Fightful, that she looked happy to be back. Management seems happy. Doesn't seem to be any lingering issues. Could see Serena Deeb back on the screen soon. I think she'd be a good fit in Ring of Honor. I really do.
Yeah, I think that'd be really nice actually. Give them something like I don't know what it is about Ring of Honor. It's just not hitting with me at the moment, and I feel like it's almost an afterthought at this point as well. So maybe throwing someone like Deeb in there, you know, who might have a bit more of a focus for a women's division could help elevate things a bit for them.
I think it kind of suffers from a little bit of, and it's certainly not at this level, so please don't read too much into what I'm saying because this is just me shooting off the top of my Brian. That when WWE ran ECW, and then eventually they moved it into like a WWE arena, so it lost all of its ECW-ness and it just looked like a WWE show.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor suffering the same thing. It just looks like an AEW show. It's shot in the same way. There's, you know, it's the same. It feels like the same sort of directory production team, and that's to be expected. There's a lot going on with that brand, and so you know you have to. you can't run it too much as a separate entity, but I kind of wish that there was a slightly different production-y flavour to it. You get it sometimes with the odd camera cuts and some of the odd elements in there, but it does just feel a bit like another AEW show.
It does.
And I'd like it to have a bit of a difference. There was some rumblings that they were going to run the Hammerstein Ballroom just before Christmas with Ring of Honor. They've since announced that they'll be doing Final Battle in Texas, so that's not happening. But there's not to say that they don't. I mean, that'd be visually a unique presence to Ring of Honor, to run venues like that.
I can see where you're coming from with the comparison there with when WWE started running ECW in the same arenas that it was at as well, like where WWE was at. And yeah, I think like a visual difference is something that like is quite a huge part in helping it set itself apart from AEW television.
One company that's really set itself apart is NWA. They've returned to YouTube recently with a series that looks very similar to the series that we fell in love with in 2019, whereby they're on the old sound stage and there's like a small audience there, and it's just like a nice 60-minute program that's put together. Billy Corgan on Busted Open Radio said that there's big things happening for the NWA. Not only are they beginning the work towards a territory system, beginning with Exodus Pro in the Midwest, but apparently there is TV deals coming with the CW, which will lead to NWA Power moving on to a networked TV station, as well as an additional show, which is a behind the scenes on the running of NWA. Not dissimilar to, I think, what we've seen with OVW and wrestlers recently.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Something like that as well. I think that's going to be a massive gain for NWA to have that presence once again as they re-establish themselves from what was a divisive period in their life, in their timeline. They're coming out the other side of that, and they're sort of redefining who they are again, it seems.
I'm excited to see where they go with this. And, you know, I think the last time we were speaking about this, Billy was talking about how he feels like, he wants NWA to be like one of the top companies that you think about when you think about wrestling. And I mean, obviously securing a TV deal is a big thing to hopefully like start pushing that forward in that direction at least. Anyway, I'm excited. I always like the production and the set dressings and everything that they have for NWA. I like the old-timey feel of it a little bit as well. So hopefully they continue to push that, and now hopefully with a bit of a bigger budget behind it as well, they could do some really cool stuff with it.
Talk NWA and many other things on this Saturday. There's no classic SmackDown review this week, unfortunately. Matthew, Greg, and I can't get together this week, so there's no SmackDown review this week if you listen on the podcast feed. But on Saturday, you have an extra episode of Desert Island Graps to consume with your ears as I chat to the reigning NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, the Overman EC3.
Ooh.
Great chat. We had it last night with EC3, connected to his office.
Yeah.
And we had a chat about I know we left no stone unturned. We talked about it all. We talked about his work in OVW. We talked about him getting into wrestling. We talked a lot about Control Your Narrative. And do you know what? I want to give props to EC3. I think I threw some rough questions at him, and he answered them really well. And we talked a lot about where he's at and where he's going. I really enjoyed my chat with EC3 last night, and I think you will as well. You'll hear it on Saturday on the podcast feed ahead of NWA Samhain, their most violent pay-per-view ever next weekend. Let's talk. Now, you mentioned her name a little earlier on. We're going to go back into her. Hollywood Hailey J. She was on Café de René this week. She was one of those that was set to have a WWE tryout, and you may have seen her on Wrestlers on Netflix, and it didn't end up happening. Didn't end up coming to pass. She wasn't cleared to have the tryout. She told us why when chatting to Rene Dupree on his podcast, saying, "I have epilepsy and my doctor is not trying to clear me to wrestle." Of course, they were like, "We need a clearance letter," and the doctor said no. So I'm in the process of finding another doctor to get a second opinion, because I haven't had a seizure in over 6 years. I've been off medication for 4. I've been wrestling for almost 4 years. I haven't had any issues, so I don't know why they won't work with me. But waiting on a second opinion, then I should be right back up at the top where I belong. Fightful Select also followed this up by saying WWE sources told us they plan to have her back for another tryout. There's lots of upside with Hollywood AJ.
I haven't watched the documentary yet.
Oh, it's really, it's great. It's a really, really good show. And there's a lot of love for OVW, more so than like off the back of that documentary. The documentary sort of tells a story about how like it's a quieter summer and they need to get the numbers up, otherwise OVW's in risk. And I believe that they've sold out at the Davis every Thursday ever since.
Oh wow, that's really cool then.
Yeah, and they run live shows every Thursday on Fight, and they've been selling out every week. And the live show tonight features a WWE and AEW legend making a rare appearance. Go on, Andrew, tell us who we're talking about.
Well, it's Paul Wight. It's legally Paul Wight. Paul Wight will be making a guest appearance at tonight's live OVW wrestling show. OVW announced that Wight will be appearing on the show, which will air live on Fight. And now, the last time Wight set foot in an OVW ring was in 2006, where he defeated The Miz at the Six Flags Summer Sizzler Series. Damn, that's a lot of sizzling.
A lot of sizzling. Now, wrestling fans of a certain vintage will also know that the Big Show spent a little while in OVW in the early noughties when he was getting back into match shape. And he's very openly talked about the fact that he didn't want to be part of that system then, and he felt like he was being punished for something. But the fact that he's going back here, I think there's a nice opportunity to lean into some of that history in OVW.
Yeah, definitely.
And celebrate it as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a good thing for OVW to have more sort of people that, you know, like I guess wrestlers that universally a lot of people know as well. To have them on their shows, to bring more people in to hopefully watch the products as well, is a good do for them.
I think EC3 might be on tonight as well. I'm only basing that on the fact that when we had our interview, this is a little behind the curtain, we had our interview, we started the interview and he went, "Shall I go get the belt?" I said, "Yeah, you gotta go get sweet Charlotte." And he nipped off for a couple of minutes and came back. Well, sorry, I had to get it out of my suitcase because I'm leaving tomorrow. So I was like, so I think he's popping to OVW, where he has been for a couple of weeks, popping up and popping in. I think he's popping to OVW tonight. But that's just me speculating. I haven't checked with him, so apologies if I got that wrong. I think that's where he's going anyway.
Nice.
Sorry, my apologies to EC3 to have to make him unpack his suitcase to talk to stupid old me. Apologies for that one. It'd be good to say, hey, look, I'm looking forward to that tonight. That's going to be fun.
It'd be good.
Anything you want to plug?
I got nothing. I'm off tomorrow playing Spider-Man 2. Yay!
You're taking an extended weekend to play Spooderman 2.
That's
Spooder harder.
How much of an absolute virgin I am, everybody. Absolute virgin. I'm happy about it. I don't even care.
Can't hear you from my mum's basement, mate. Hey, enjoy. Have a lovely weekend with it. I'm excited to hear how good, bad, ugly it is.
I'm so excited. What about you? You got anything to plug?
Come see Impact Wrestling.
Woo!
Week tomorrow. Holy Moses. I'm making my Impact debut a week tomorrow.
So exciting.
I need to lose 6 stone still. Damn. Join us for it. It's going to be fun. ImpactWrestling.com to get your tickets. Come and join us for Turning Point. It's going to be such a laugh. You never know. Some Cultaholic lads that you know and love are going to be around, maybe. I know a few that are going to be coming. You could meet some of your friends at Cultaholic and see a brilliant night with Impact as well in the northeast of England. It's good times had by all. And as always, the latest wrestling news you will find at cultaholic.com. Kiss.
I love you, bye.
Look, I'm Spider-Man. That way, innit?